Intercultural Communication in the ESL Classroom by Peggy Marcy, but this is more or less an application of Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, Chapter 7. In the last video, we looked at intercultural communication issues that can arise, such as those between captains, first officers, and air traffic controllers. We suggested that when there appears to be a communication misunderstanding, it is helpful to put yourself in the other person's shoes in order to view the situation and words from their perspective. In this video, I want to try to apply Malcolm Gladwell's Chapter 7 from his book called Outliers to the ESL classroom. Hofstede came up with 5 dimensions of culture. One of the most significant is power distance. Countries with high or large power distance believe in hierarchies and have rigid rules for the interaction between individuals. In countries with high power distance, a teacher, any teacher, is frequently considered a person of power, and students will expect to be told what to do by that teacher. The United States is a low power distance culture. For us, communicative language teaching, CLT, is pretty much the norm. We expect our students to discuss with each other and to learn from each other. This type of instruction is difficult for learners from high power distance cultures to accept. However, when an instructor can communicate the metacognitive strategies and purposes of CLT, then students will usually accept it and grow to enjoy the experience. Another of Hofstede's 5 dimensions is collectivism versus individualism. The United States, of course, is an individualistic culture. We believe students should make decisions independently. However, learners from collectivist cultures work hard at pleasing everyone and getting everyone to agree. They may appear indecisive and lacking leadership because they don't want to move on to the next task until everyone is satisfied with what they've been doing. If you combine high power distance with collectivism, then you find students who seem incapable of working independently with autonomy. My biggest challenge in my ESL writing classes was teaching students how to choose essay topics because they were often told what to write in their home country. The last point I want to address in this video is classroom communication. This pertains to Hofstede's strong uncertainty avoidance versus weak uncertainty avoidance. Some students will prefer hints and suggestions, while others will prefer obligation statements and commands, especially if they're from a high power distance culture also, and they view themselves as someone in power in the group, such as being the oldest one. Often we put students into groups to discuss a topic without properly preparing them for that type of informal group intercultural communication. I've found that in spite of whether they come from strong or weak ambiguity avoidance cultures, lower level students tend to use commands and statements that sound like commands simply because they use the fewest words. They don't mean to sound rude by being too direct. Actually, they think that since Americans like direct speech and they're speaking English, they don't think making a direct statement is rude. However, they need to learn that there's a time and place for direct statements that sound like commands, such as in emergencies. As instructors, we need to teach our students obligation statements. I think we need to. Suggestions, let's go. Queries, which questions should we work on next? Preferences, I think it's wise to. And hints, statements about something indirectly related. When we teach them the keywords for each of these, we also are teaching them how to recognize them when they are the listeners involved. Maybe have an activity in class where students start out giving hints, but when the listener doesn't respond appropriately, the speaker has to move up to suggestions and then commands. The point is that we need to give our language students strategies for success in class projects and tasks as well as in the real world. Intercultural communication affects more in the ESL classroom than we usually prepare learners for. In review, this video talked about the oddness of introducing communicative language teaching to learners in high power distance countries. It then considered the issue of collectivistic cultures in the ESL classroom and finally looked at communication strategies for successful class interaction.